everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday night. I'm joined here today by Luigi and Steve, and we're going to be doing a little panel discussion. But first, I'd like to invite everyone for a short prayer before we begin. Let us take a moment to bring ourselves here for this talk, for this lesson. Let us be thankful for this opportunity. Let us be thankful to our fellow brothers and sisters around us, learning and growing with us, helping us as we help them. Let us always remember the work that each of us needs to do to better understand ourselves, to better understand our feelings, to better equip ourselves to face challenges and difficulties in our life, to overcome them, to learn to see things from different perspectives, to embrace change, to embrace transformation, to embrace love, to embrace generosity. Let us all remember these things as we move forward. So with that, with a feeling of peace and love in our hearts, we welcome everyone and we begin the talk of tonight. And so be it. Thank you.
So be it.
So tonight, Steve is going to be, has a topic for us, and we're going to be joining him as we talk. So Steve said he had an idea about inner reform. So I guess Steve, take it away.
Yeah. Thank you, Manny. So, I don't know if you guys know, but I like to wake up on Sundays and I do like a little bit of gospel in the home, gospel in the bedroom, in the little room that I live in, and so I make a little bit of progress through the gospel every week, and so I think it's chapter 8, Blessed are the pure of heart, in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and I read a passage. This chapter has some things in it, like when Jesus says, "Let the children come to me," and things like that. But then the next part in this is some verses from Matthew, where he says, "If your hand is a cause for scandal, then cut it off." And I'm sort of paraphrasing. He says, "If your eye is a cause for scandal, then rip it out and throw it into the fire." It's like really colorful language, and I'm very glad for the gospel, in Allan Kardec's work, The Gospel According to Spiritism, because it explains, don't actually cut off your hand, because some people would go there, and some people actually do. Even today in the world, there's people that do things like that, eye for an eye and hand for a hand, tooth for a tooth.
So that's not actually what it means?
Yeah, you shouldn't actually cut your hand off. And so it's a great chapter. I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about because actually, like the way that I do my gospel study right now, I'm just kind of quarantined. I'm doing it all alone, but I'm never really alone. Especially spiritists are never really alone, which is in our own way. But I like to read from the gospel, and then I'll actually do a little bit of writing. I'll write about whatever's like on my mind, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, like what I want to change in my life, what's working, what's not working. Sometimes I write a lot and sometimes I write just a little bit. And I really liked what I was reading the other day because it kind of made me think like, this is actually something like, as I'm reading the gospel and then writing, I'm actually like doing what it's saying to do, which is looking for things in ourselves that, when it says scandal, it's not scandal like what we normally think of as scandal, like something is blowing up in the news, like something like a scandal. The word
He's
scandal.
He's talking about small things.
Yes, he's talking about things like little things, like things that we do like that we,
lies.
like like some people might call it sinning,
Yeah,
but we don't talk about sinning like that. We don't believe in
It's almost
that.
like it's more personalized.
Yeah, it's like things that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing. Things that we do that like you wouldn't want your mother to find out about.
Or anybody, per se.
Yeah.
It's but the graphic of the words that he used, the colorful words that he used, is to show us that even the small scandals, it's a serious thing. That's why he used rip out your eyes and throw in a fire, slash your hands off, because it is serious. It's very serious. He doesn't mean that he doesn't want you to slice your hands or take your eyes off. He's just saying, listen, this is a serious subject. You should not be playing with others' emotions and yourself. And that part of the gospel, a lot of, especially brothers from other faith believes that the part that what Jesus Christ said, that if you are a bad person, you're going to go to hell, right? But it's not exactly what he wanted to focus there. He wanted to focus on the scandal. And there is a part also that he said that the scandal is necessary, but do not be the one who commit the scandal. So it gets a little hard to understand if it's necessary. So who's going to commit it? It's necessary because you got to see the good in everything, in every situation, right? Right? And but you don't need to start a scandal. And
I think it explains, like, if somebody's doing something bad to somebody else, maybe that person actually deserved what they got. Maybe it's all part of divine justice, but the person who's actually committing that act is actually going to receive theirs in turn as well. But it's all sort of part of this evolutionary process. Like, but you don't want to like be, because I've heard people talking about. I had a friend that used to talk about like instant karma, and he would say that like whenever he did something wrong, it would immediately come back to him, that it would like something wrong would happen to him. But then there's other people that would say like, oh, if I do something bad to somebody, I'm just going to assume that they have bad karma and that they need it.
And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why he brought something really, really good here, because that's the reason why we should not be assumed that divine justice is doing this because he deserves it, because divine justice is not going to do that.
Because you're still doing your part.
Exactly. Divine justice is all related to good and love. Divine justice is not here to punish people or anything like that. This we do ourselves. So people need to understand what is divine justice, because he brought us something. I'm going to do something to him because I know that he owes something to God or anything, so he deserves it, right? But it's not like that. One day somebody asked me a question, Luigi, does accidents exist? I say, yes, it does. What do you mean? Something might happen to me that it was not, let me put it this way, on my karma. I say, of course, because there is no karma. It's like you walk on a jungle, you want to see this jungle, and then all of a sudden this ant comes and bites you. And then the bite of the ant, it could cause you pain and different things. But that wasn't in your karma.
Right, it was more your ignorance, I guess.
Not ignorance, it's the law of nature.
Right, but you went into there unprepared.
Or even if you were prepared. If you were prepared, I'm going to go in there with a high boot, that way ants doesn't bite me. Good, it's not going to happen, right?
I mean, part of living is taking risks.
Right.
Every time every time you walk out of your front door, or, get in the car, you're taking a huge risk. Most of the time we make it where we're going to go, unscathed, but it happens, statistically, it's like it's going to happen one day or another to somebody. It's kind of like this lottery we play every time we get in the car.
And that's what people need to understand. It's nothing written in stone. Your death is not written there that you're going to fall off, you're going to lose your arm and this and that. No, it could happen an accident, and all of a sudden you lost your arm, an accident, right? Nothing there in the past life that you done wrong to push you to this energy. But the Spirit's book tells us that, it happens, but you need to focus not on the physical, not on the physical life, but you need to focus on the spiritual life. And what does this mean? What you can learn if something like that happens to you, right? So always focus on the good, and that's the thing. the scandal is necessary. So we can always focus on the good and learn something and grow spiritual and in spirit.
You know, I saw this amazing documentary on Netflix about a mountain climber, and he was a famous mountain climber from an early age, and you know he was doing well and everything, and then he was at home one day, like doing some home improvement projects, and accidentally cut his index finger off with a table saw. You know, and it was, being a mountain climber, like he has to use his hand and wrap his thumb around to get the grip and climb the mountain, you know, into the crevices. So he almost thought his career was over.
So
but
that thumb is important.
Important. It's kind of, I mean, and he actually had to learn how to climb mountains without his index finger on his hand. But he actually like ended up taking some new path up El Capitan in Yosemite, and it was like an amazing story. It was like really, really inspiring, and it was like really kind of heartfelt. Like I could almost do a palestra about it, like some of the lessons from the documentary. But
that show us that
it's kind of like accidents happen, you know.
Accident happens. Another thing that we can take out of this lesson that he said is there is not only way to do things. There was multiple ways to do.
He wasn't the first person to climb El Capitan, but he would go like after his finger got cut off because his wife left him and stuff like that. It was just all these things happened, but he made the most out of it, and he would find new ways to get up the mountain.
There we go.
That other people said like there's no way to climb.
Yeah, and it's a great
this certain
metaphor
wall
for life too. You know, like you said, there's not one path. Someone else might have had their finger, you know, cut off, and then they said, okay, well, I'm done with mountain climbing.
I'm done because I cannot climb anymore.
I'm going to sit home and collect disability, and that's my life now.
Right. You see, that's everything that you use, how you use your power of choosing, your power of acting in different paths and different things that happen into your life. Not always blaming God, or I'm going to put in God's hand. What did that mean? What does this mean? I'm going to put, a lot of people says that.
They say it a lot, yeah.
Right? God willing. I really don't understand those things, because why God do not want us something good to happen to us? You understand?
I mean, you got to take responsibility.
Of course.
My friends used to say, like, you need to do the footwork. Like, you need to put the action in. Like, if you want to get a new job, you know, like, you need to go apply for jobs, do your resume. You need to do all the things that you, like, educate yourself.
It's not working. You're not getting a job.
You go,
change the path.
Yeah, you go apply for the job. Then you put it in God's hands after that. Like, you know, you don't just, like, sit here and go, like, God, I really want a new job. I want, like somebody's going to come in here and just be like, hey, like, I got the perfect job. Would you be the CEO of my company? You know,
I have done everything in my power.
If it doesn't just happen, like it's not just handed to you, then they give up sometimes.
That's it. I have done everything in my power to acquire what I want. It didn't work. Now it's in God's hands. Let's put it this way. Now let's see what happened.
Right, and what you were saying earlier about you know how these scandals they're important, but they might seem like such a small trivial thing, but it's such an important thing that happens to an individual's life. You know, let's say, you know, a man, you know, or a woman, a spouse cheats on their partner, right? And then, you know, you hear this story, you know, thousands of times. It's a common occurrence that happens all the time. You say, well, that's not really a big deal, but in that moment in that person's life, that happened, it was a very huge part of their life, and yeah, it is a scandal.
It is a scandal, and it is a big deal.
But it's necessary too, because these are, I'm taking this from in the realms of mediumship, but these are the dramas that we have to live in our life. There's a reason why you cheated. You made that decision. It was a strong feeling for whatever reason. Maybe it was a bad choice. Probably it was. But that was a necessary thing. Like that drama needed to play out in your life for you to learn something, for something to move forward, for you to learn the lesson.
So how you deal with that emotions, how you deal with
you're gonna pay for it,
right? If you repent of the action, you know, yeah, there is no pay for, right? This word's a little strong. When you say pay for, it's a little harsh, and a lot of the spiritualists like to use the word. I don't like it, but
in reality, you make your own bed. You have to sleep in it.
Exactly, and then
you reap what you sow.
Exactly.
This is what you put out. This is what you have to
You're not paying
harvest
for anything. That's the thing that you chose to. You're in a spot because you chose to be there. So remember one thing: we are in exactly in the spot that we put ourselves. Simple as that.
It's interesting too when you were talking about accidents. You know, something might happen to a person that was a complete accident, or you know, something bad happens to them, and they think that somebody was trying to do something bad against them. So that they think in their mind it's a scandal. Someone's maybe plotting something against you, or maybe somebody you work this story in your mind, but really it was something innocent. But you
Completely different than
created,
what you
created a scandal in your mind, and then you take action based on what you're thinking, and there was no issue there to begin with.
It's really funny because something happened today at work, and I was thinking about that. I mean, like actually nothing happened, but it could have been something because, at work I build trucks, and I get a truck, I build it, and then it's finished. I send it out, I bring another one in, I start again, and we've been actually working really hard the last couple of weeks, like knocking these things out.
He's got a big show coming up.
Yeah, and this guy comes up, he's sort of new there, and he goes, man, he says to me, man, you guys are like robots. And I was like, yeah, they just keep coming in. But as he left, I thought, like, I wonder if he meant that as a compliment or an insult. And I said, it's a good thing he said it to me, because I took it as a compliment, like, yeah, you guys are like machines, like you're just really working hard.
You just work without stopping.
But it's like, if he said it to the other guy I work with, that guy might have taken it like, oh, you don't have a brain, like you're just a mindless robot, like just
you
doing.
You interact with us, we don't talk, we don't have no fun.
You're just a robot, but I'm like, like I wonder what he meant by that. Like I said to myself, I'm just gonna act like it's a compliment.
Well, instead of assuming things, just go to him and ask him, what do you mean we are like robots? You think we work too much, or we think we don't interact as humans?
Because he said it with sort of a smile, like sort of a joke. And like, I don't really think he meant anything by it. But I know some people that would, like, no matter what you say, like they'll take it, like they'll put their own sort of filter on it and go like,
right.
What is this guy supposed to say? What does he mean by that?
Yeah, but we are wired for always to go to the negative. Mm-hmm. We are never, most of the time, we never go into the positive side. We always wired to go to the negative side.
Yeah, because that's why I was thinking about that. I was like, I'm glad I'm the one that heard that, and I'm gonna like just make it a positive thing.
It is, but because if somebody come to you and create these scandals, and you look on the positive side, that scandal is gonna die out fast, because you're not gonna feed that scandal to keep going on and on and on and on.
And even something so small as like gossiping, like making some comment about somebody, like a negative comment or this. I mean, you don't know how far that's gonna go. You say something to one person, and that might develop into something else inside that person, and that person might say, oh, you know what? He's right about them, and they add their own
their own way of seeing things,
and it starts. You don't know where that leads to, so you have to really be careful with your words. I mean, we know that here.
It's funny because that same guy today,
yeah.
The boss was talking about him, and he didn't know that the guy walked up right behind him, and he was saying some bad things about the guy. He goes, he says to him, I really wish you'd just come to me and said that, like, to me personally, instead of like talking about me to another guy. Like, the guy he's talking to has nothing to do with it.
You see?
And I'm like.
That's exactly it.
Instant karma right there.
Yeah, but every big scandal starts small.
Yeah.
See, that
starts at an individual level.
Exactly, starts small and goes and roll, and it becomes this big snowball.
I don't need to go to therapy. I just go to work every day,
but life is a therapy.
And I think that's the thing, is like the habit I have of doing like a little gospel study and a little bit of writing. Or a lot of writing, depending on, if I have a lot going on, like, but that actually helps me like put everything in perspective, and I can see like, what do I need to change? Like, how am I feeling? If I'm not feeling good, I can, put a new spin on it. And most of the time, if I'm not feeling good, it's like something I'm doing. Like,
that's knowledge.
I'm making
that's
it into
intellectual
something.
Knowledge that he's acquiring.
Self-reflection.
He will acquire wisdom as soon as he applies all that.
Yeah.
That's what we need to focus, right?
Three or 4 or 5 more lifetimes.
No. That's what a lot of people don't understand. We acquire a lot of intellectual knowledge, but the wisdom part, that is the wonderful thing, that is applying and understanding what we study
from experience.
Because
you got to take it. You got to take it to work. I mean, I know this is Spiritism says, like, you got to work. There's a law of labor.
Yeah.
And the work. It doesn't mean you have to like physically do labor, but you need to be interacting with people and making progress, like, on something.
Changing yourself little by little, being a different person every step of the way. Every day you're a different person. You used to look at this color in one way, now you look in a different way, so you're evolving. You see more angles of the situation. And remember, we are all brothers here. We are here for the same reason, and we all depend on one another because we are connected by this, energetic thing that we have in us. And if we look at this way, we're going to start looking this. We're going to cut off the scandal, and that scandal is not going to grow. Gossip. As soon as it comes to you, you're going to stop right there, and you're going to tell your friend, hey, listen, don't talk about him. Yeah. It's not like, and then they're going to call you what do they call you? A goody-goody?
Square.
A square, whatever.
Right.
Or moralist.
Because you don't want to play those games. You don't want to be involved in those little games.
Right. But when you do that, people immediately change on you and say, listen, he thinks he's better than me. Right. He thinks he's all that. It's okay. That's with him. But we need to stop the small scandals to becoming big scandals. And when the change coming about, we need to do that. Hey, listen, don't talk about that. Don't do this, especially with me or whatever, We need to have this courage to do this, not following society every step because they are blind. We're going to be blind also, and we're going to follow here. We want to be like everybody else. That's the problem we've seen today. And this passage on the gospel is going to show that. And that's the reason why Jesus Christ was very colorful on his words, because it is very, very serious, especially if the scandal started with you. It doesn't matter what size, especially if it started with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to pay attention. Even last week's speaker was talking about question 919, know thyself. So that work of actually looking at yourself, looking at what you do, looking at how you're feeling and everything, and getting to know it, and then taking it and then taking it to practice.
Yeah, I think a big mistake people do, and I mean, everyone does this. I do it myself. Is that they compare themselves to certain people. And they say, I wish I was more like this person, or
comparing your insides to other people's outsides.
Right. When what you should be doing is you should be comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, and just trying to be a better person the next day.
Minute before that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
I'm not gonna think like this.
Be a better version of yourself.
Yeah. Just be a better version of yourself, and that's it. If everybody's a better version of themselves,
whatever that means to you, it could mean a million different things to a million different people.
Because there is a million different ways to do the same thing. Million.
And if you're doing the right thing or not.
Of course, you feel it. It's not you feel.
Right.
You feel it's right there, boom.
Yep.
It's so funny, I've been really hooked on these Joe Rogan podcasts. And I don't know if I should say that from here, but
it's okay.
But
it's your way to do things.
He had one, he just kind of speaks to me. He had one, just because it's little clips and it said Joe Rogan on the importance of being kind. And it's he's just saying, I really think it's important just to be kind to people, just as you go out, when you're in public or whatever, you hold the door for somebody, you help them, you let them go first, and just be kind to them. And he was saying the same thing. He's I know it's right because it feels right. He said, after you're kind to somebody, it just feels good. And he said, we don't really, a lot of people don't really talk about this anymore. It's not something I don't know if they're really teaching kids today to be kind or not.
Yeah, one thing important about this passage also that it just came to me here right now is that what if, right, is Manny did this scandal, and in the middle of this scandal, he regretted, and he said, oh my God, what have I done, right? So how do we fix this? Let's put it this way. There's no way to go back in time. Right. So how do you fix this? Because a lot of times the person gets depression, guilt, killed themselves, right? And they don't know how to deal with the wrongdoing. Okay, this is very important. This is extremely important that we need to focus. And is a phrase that in Spiritism, that Kardec, when he started in the book of Spirits, he asked how we were created, and the Spirit answered us, God created us simple and ignorant. Right? We are free of any knowledge, and we are here to actually acquire knowledge and to transform that into wisdom. But also, of course, we're going to make mistakes. And if you made a mistake, it doesn't matter what's the size of the mistake. It is your right as a human being to commit that mistake because you were you are here to learn, okay? And especially when you did something and you repent, you are moving forward, okay? So it is very important that people know that when a scandal happens, it's if you repent and if you acknowledge, oh my God, what have I done? The thing you need to put your mindset on is, I'm not perfect, and I'm gonna police myself from now on not to repeat this anymore.
Right, not to make the same mistake.
Exactly. Not to stick yourself in the past and not moving forward and then do things that are way worse on the future.
You know, and this is a good way we can kind of wrap it up because just like it says in that chapter in the gospel, when Jesus says, in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must be like one of these children. And it explains, like, it doesn't mean to act like a child. It means to be innocent like a child and be, you know, like lighthearted and
Mind-free and stuff.
and free, you know, and we have that responsibility. We know we're responsible for our actions and everything, and we take the responsibility, but we can be like, just have that purity and innocence and work towards that. You know, we're not gonna like be exactly pure and innocent, exactly, you know, I can't go erase the past or anything, but but to be like that, you know, and to be.
But you see how he put his teachings, how simple he made? You look at child, you look what? You see what? You see purity, you see free, you see happiness.
Yeah, curiosity.
Curiosity, that's what we need to be, you know, and not guilt.
So, well, thank you guys so much for coming and talking with me tonight. I really appreciate the backup. You can always use extra wingmen. And
Anytime, my friend.
And so, yeah, if you want to, I guess we could wrap it up a little bit and maybe do a closing prayer. I guess.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll do it if you want to.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I'll do it.
Let's do it.
So let's elevate our thoughts. Let's quiet our mind, and let's take these teachings of tonight with us in our daily lives, in our choice, on the exercise of our free will. Let's always focus in directing ourselves in through kindness, forgiveness, love, compassion. Let's stay together of the good things. Let's call to ourselves good energies, positivity, and love. So in the name of God, in the name of my Master Jesus Christ, in the name of the mentors of this center, we ask permission to finish our talk and our work for tonight. So be it.
So be it.
Thank you.